get a lot of stuff when I tune in to see you and Andrew, what you're saying, and what I felt with the crystals is what I suggested earlier about being in harmony and alignment with Earth, is that
Yes.
when you are like that, then these sort of themes and finding crystals and stuff are just an aspect of that. And to me, um, this is a big thing I wanted to sort of offer is that, say, with healers and your local reality that you're in, I've got good friends that go to, say, John of God. They go on pilgrimage over to Brazil and they go seek John of God. And for me, being an Aussie, it's about 10 grand to go on that whole experience. And I'm not diminishing who John of God is and stuff like that. He's a fantastic, incredible being, and it's well worth it if you can do it. But to me, my aspect and my understanding and appreciation of what Andrew offers, like the 5800 local realities, is that wherever you are, despite what you've been through, and you may not be in the location where you originally intended to incarnate in spite of all that, in the local reality, there's everything you need, such as healers and crystals and stuff like that. And it's like growing your own food in your region rather than getting stuff that's transported from another part of the world. The frequency and vibration is subtly different, but it has an effect, and it might not be a match and things like that. So to me, what I felt, and this is because we sort of suggest about talking about the crystals and being a rock hound and stuff like that, is that you might find that once you do all your clearing and work, you want to fortify yourself and you want to gain crystals and stuff. And you can go to crystal shops and stuff like that, and that's cool. But perhaps one aspect of what gets revealed to you is that the local reality you're in has the resources such as crystals, like my crystals in my region and what Sean said, around you. So to me, like, say, seeking you out for a healing is an amazing experience, but like my healer I seek out in my city is a match for this reality. And the crystals that are probably a match for you are in your reality as well. It's just you have to get to a place and you have to tune in and you have to disconnect a bit and find your meditative state and have that as a component of who you are. And these sort of things get revealed to you. Is that something that you feel as well, Sean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to touch on with that, so I'll try to remember. Uh,
I did go in a bit of a monologue. Sorry about that, but
it's
I can repeat it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to give
yeah,
you a
yeah,
frequency to offer your perspectives. That's basically
yeah.
what I'm doing.
So like the power of the crystals that you're working with for fortressing yourself is an absolutely great idea. You can work with the crystals to imprint essences into your shielding process so that you have more to work with. Like I have layer of steel, layer of titanium, and all these other types of formats that you will take a energetic understanding of, and then you can mimic it etherically for your
Mm,
fortress
mm,
and expand. It will make you more protected, less attacked, more able to be in your sacred space. Like for instance, like the difference between some crystals, you'll go to some crystal store and like, oh, like I want what's pretty and stuff. What I look for is how powerful the being is, because sometimes they can look like not the prettiest thing in the world, but I will see them as beautiful, having an energetic aura that will expand very powerfully, that will have a being entangled with them that is
mm,
incredible. That, like for instance, like this I was tracking I learned psychic tracking so I could track things back and forward in time and throughout the globe and off planet and all this stuff. If you can point back to it, you can resolve it. I teach this to other people. I'll teach it to you. Um, the so I was looking in on vacation, like, oh, where can I go, while looking on like a Google map that will bring me to a very powerful crystal that wants to work with me, and that I can, or stone or something, because I wasn't really looking for just beauty, and it's hard to just find crystal just peeking out of the ground. They're mostly underground, but
mm,
like it's still like a good experience if you have the chance to do that, and especially if it's near a chakra. holy shit, the difference between just a regular crystal out of the ground that's like really powerful anyway, and a near a chakra, like I don't know. Otherwise, they would be like in a county size of protection if they're a really powerful stone. A small marble-sized stone put on a chakra for a period of time will
Yes.
expand to where it can protect the entire state, and maybe even more if it's a higher octave chakra. The one I
I,
went to was a low octave one, and it was still really big and powerful. And it was
I,
calling to me, one little stone. There was no other stones in that entire forest I went to. Literally, I was searching around, and there was one right next to a tree. I was like, wow, is it this one? Yes, holy shit.
what
Just
I actually
one
do,
stone.
like the crystals I took to Andrew's event and stuff, I'll just offer this. It's I knew there was a time, linear time sort of amount before I went to Andrew's event, and what I did is several months before then I went to the place because it just worked out I could get access to a car and stuff, and I went up to the location where the crystals are, and there were a couple of big male kangaroos there. They were like the ancestors, like checking me out. I know it, and that's why yeah, you do an offering to the ancestors of the region, and you do it in respect with for them and thank them and stuff. Because I just see myself as a human expression of Earth, help facilitating this journey of the crystals finding the people. And what I did, I took them then to the womb chakra and I left them in there for 3 months, like 3 full moons and stuff. And it's a pretty remote spot, and I've got it pretty fortified. And yeah, I left them in the womb chakra for 3 full moons and stuff, and let them
Yeah,
accumulate the vibration of that region, and then because I know I'm pretty rare in having these combined sort of variables that I can work with, I see that as a appreciation of all the healing I've done, but also a respect for being one of the few in the world that could actually do this, and I take on board that responsibility. I honor it because it's something I've earned, you know. And then by
that's
doing that,
super.
I can facilitate them saying coming to you, and it's like you were just like you were reading all the people at the event that were getting the crystals, and it. I didn't ask them. I showed them all, and I let people choose what's right for them, and it was just beautiful how it worked. And you were just sort of confirming everything. So yeah. What I say is I just want to offer this as well. There's no wrong with anything you do, because you might be born into the wrong region and you actually need the crystals from the region where you were meant to be, and that links you up. I mean, there's so many variables, but what I'm sort of suggesting is that um, everything you need is in your local reality, and it's just a matter of getting into the space to actually allow that to come. If you have that as a variable, see what gets revealed to you. Because if you have this attitude that there's nothing here for me, it's you're not going to get it revealed because you're blocking yourself, you know. So that's something just to be aware of, you know.
Yes, you're doing incredibly super powerful work that like is gonna resonate into the future because you're making fortress grids that expands the rest of the planet. Because every stone you put on that chakra has a fortress the size of Australia, and it's expanding to the world. So you're making it like a shielding Sparta thing around the planet. Um, oh, and that chakra has mystery schools that wants to link with you in, and it wants you to learn how to read it yourself. So I'm gonna have to do that. That'll
Mm,
be fine.
mm,
Um, but it wants you to do something with the stones as a link point with that chakra to enter the mystery schools of that chakra, especially in your dream time.
mm.
Because how are your dreams, by the way? You're supposed to, you're, I don't know if you are yet, but you're going to be a very powerful dream seer.
I know I do dream training with a lot of people, like I'm doing collective dreaming, but I actually don't recall a lot still, and I'm not one that's like perturbed by that. I'm where I'm at, you know what I mean? So I
I'm
know
going
I've
to see
got a
what I
lot of
can see.
potential and stuff like that. So a lot of
One
people tell
sec.
me they've dreamt with me, and I've actually rescued a lot of people in dreams. And like say for instance, I know I'm connected to the the migrating souls. So I actually dream of people when they're like, I know I've had dreams where I've been in the where their child is being born, and I'm sort of protecting that so that their soul gets through. And I know a lot of astral beings and demons that I'm very reluctant to touch people now because it means you're contracted to help them, and I work in my dreams in that respect. So
So
working,
like when I tune into your dream blockage, there's a lot. It makes a lot of sense to me. Um, it's interacting. It culminates in why you're in Australia, because you have history with Australia going back to its um, first interactions here, as well as it projecting back in time to the beginnings of Earth and
mm,
forward in time,
mm,
because it's a very multidimensional object and it's really hard to describe for me. Um,
that's all right.
but it has a lot going on with it. It can bilocate to other planets. It's doing a lots of
Yeah,
things. It's a lot of places, and you have a protectorship of it. I'm gonna try to be careful with what I say, but essentially you're protecting loads of dream realms all across Australia,
yeah,
and some of them are being incurred upon, as well as penetrated through, and some of your energies being stolen to penetrate into them. They do that with everyone that's dream protection. So it's like the coming and going of who's interacting with you. So like you're resolving it constantly, and you're doing
yes,
better and better at it, and you've been resolving. Like compared to what it was before you incarnated into this life, you've gotten rid of 99% of it. So like it's a lot. But still, like they're trying to keep you blocked in it as well and maintain it, because it is foundations of the reality. The system of domination control really wants to keep reign over Australia for
yeah,
reasons.
yeah.
Lots of reasons.
It's not gonna work though.
Yeah, yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Australia's got a hard, like a fire that can like burn away them if it so chooses, but it's got a lot of personality to it in many different aspects, and it's giving them voice so they can have the best possible timeline, despite what it looks like now. It's it's aware, and it has a strategy.
mm,
Um, anyway, so we can go over those dream realms and list them, and then go into the process of retaking back your stolen energy, and whatever they might be accessing certain ones for particular reasons, like if they're high drama, high traffic dream realms, they can interact with a lot of people there and entangle their technology with the people that visit there, or steal items that are like sacred dreamtime objects or whatever, or steal energy of people that are hard to get to. It depends on what it is. There's a lot. You're doing a lot of things. It's not just in Australia, but this is like 99% of it. The blockage is something you can resolve in Australia.
mm.
Um, let's see. And definitely working with that womb chakra. You should definitely get those crystals, set up a... do you already have a grid with your bed?
Well, what I was actually gonna we're talking about some basics with the crystals and stuff, and you've gone on into my dream realm and stuff, which is really cool. We can probably, how about we just leave that for this conversation? We can always pick up with dream bodies and stuff in another
Right.
chat. Is that cool?
Yeah, sure. I
And
just wanted to like go over that grid.
what I was gonna say is that um, say we've sort of offered that you can go crystal finding after you get into a certain state and stuff, and if you do healing, then things might reveal themselves to you, and they might want to work with you and stuff. And me, I just like I describe me, I go into feelings, and I feel like maybe I want to smell the sea air, and that's the lure that sort of gets me there. And it's like, oh, all these crystals are wanting to be found and go on journeys and stuff like that. But that's my my sense, and what you get is you get it on a different level, and that's all cool. There's no wrong, and the key is to identify that within you as the individual, because you're probably getting all this data and you're not picking it up and stuff, and that's cool.
Mm.
There's a timing aspect, but what I was going to lead to with, say, sourcing stuff in your local reality is that then I've actually got my house all fortified and stuff like that to protect me, and I've got layers and layers, and the way I interact with crystals is I don't say I want you to protect my house. I have a thought of what it feels like for my house to be sacred, and my dreams to be like my sleeps to be very nourishing and recharging and stuff like that. And when I allocate a crystal in like a location and stuff, those are the messages, those feelings, because the feelings are a language and it's telepathic. And if you do it in service and you're asking for help, and you need allies and stuff, and you feel like if this is done for you, then you can actually do in service to Earth on a whole new level and stuff. It's like a partnership, and that's the way I sort of fortify my region and stuff. Does that offer you something to work with?
Yes. And you can absolutely link that all up and make it more powerful and learn more layers of it. And each night, like, go into the more layers of it that you want to explore as you get your excitement, because you're going into what draws you in your senses of what activates you, what tracks you into a synchronicity to that your spiritual entourage and the beings you're working with will use as an opportunity point to expand.
Mm,
And then you can expand upon yourself even more as you're comfortable to get more and more sensitive senses and ways to trigger those synchronicities and pathways to expand yourself.
yes.
So let's see. I'm trying to remember this one thing. Oh yeah. It's very powerful being you are in a version of you interacting with Australian mythos of like origin of nature spirits kind of thing. Anyway, I'm not gonna say that on there, but the you that version of you wants to connect with you through the womb chakra and work with you, resolve things, help that being, because you are very capable. You have armies of ancestors that want to work with you to delegate work to help you resolve, because if you resolve stuff as that being holding space for all those other beings to be protected, they get protected and healed too. So it's a all overflowing thing. And they resolve stuff because they learn from the process, and then you learn everything you need to do to resolve that, because your higher self is, you can initiate them to learn, and that's what we're doing right now as I'm speaking, because I'm going to help you do this.
Mm,
And they don't want me to, but I will. The negative guys, where you're helping that version of you get all their energy that's been stolen and help them protect their abilities and the dream realms, so they don't have negative connections into it that don't have approval, and it will start changing the surface population, especially the ones that dream better. Let's see. There's a lot of ways you can do this, but especially at what angle we come in at it. Um, it's mostly, though, we're focusing on you healing, which will then heal a lot of things.
yeah.
Um,
But I wanna offer the pathway to that, and setting up your local reality and your sacred area that you operate in as a foundational thing for what people might listen to as well. Like, you can focus on me, but we're also offering this as a sort of teaching, as a process sort of thing where you do your healing, and then the crystals sort of might be in your local reality that you can source, or you get others or whatever that feel right, and then you set up the fortification of your local sort of space, so that
okay.
then you can have it as a foundation for doing what you might be here to do. Because I feel a lot of people, um, they they skip a lot of steps, and they want to get
Yeah.
out in the trenches and stuff like that, and they don't have a lot of the basics under control, and then they get smacked. or they get lured into stuff and they don't know because they don't have their foundation in their senses or their their reference site. Like I'll use the word reference because then you can go back and recalibrate yourself and reassess what's gone on and refortify your core. Like my attitude is that my core, my state of being within me, that's unbudgeable now. I don't allow that to be budged by anything, and I am very empathic and compassionate, and I'm very sensitive, and I can take on board others' senses, and without that knowing of who I am or having a space where I can recalibrate myself, it I have gone into things and got smashed in the past, and I feel a lot of people don't really have that awareness, you know. So do you have anything to offer with that, mate?
Yes.
By the way, we can have a break if you want. We've been going an hour and 20 minutes. Do you want to have a quick break?
Sure.
Yeah.
Can I might forget what we're gonna say because let me just say,
I'll
yeah.
restate it after if you want. I know
Okay.
it's an
Sure.
important thing, so it's not gonna.
Yeah. Go for it.
How are you going?
Great.
You,
Feeling good. Looking at this stuff with your that version of yourself.
yep.
Um, Interesting. They just sent me some messages and oh, so the fortress, like how you've got going, like for the basics for other people if they want to enter like the mystery school of the crystals, and the stone people and the all the dragons and other things that will be entangled with them. Um, Besides being cautious with what items you work with, so you're not just working with haunted objects. Um, you fortress your room and you give them a space where they are comfortable, respected. They can heal themselves
Yeah.
because you can program them to heal themselves. They can become healers.
Mm,
Um, like healing objects will do that, and you can make ways for them to easily be grounded or get taken out in the sun or underwater and salt, or interact with a other collective consciousness of crystals that can help heal them, that are healed themselves, and then make like a your crystal fortress or ancestral shrine or altar and or medicine wheel and work with that. You can crystal grid your bed, of course, like they'll be concepts with that because they'll be helping disentangle lots of stuff. So it's it's a thing to make it really advanced, to make it so that you can clean it after it gets bogged down with stuff. But treat them like a consciousness, a friend, friends, your spiritual entourage. They'll have light body versions linked to you. You can connect to them from wherever you are. Energy batteries, non-local, all kinds of stuff you can do with them. You can set programs and intentions, things you want to work with them as light beings. They won't do anything against your free will. So they'll send you initiation, kind of like invitations to like mystery schools they hold or things that you'd want. Like you want to express what you want or your intention or um, what you want to like gain or bring into your life.
yes.
And depending on how in alignment they are with you, they will respond to that and either accept that or wait a while until you're ready or whatever. It depends on what it is, of course.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like,
That's where I was sort of suggesting before. It's the feeling is the prayer. So if you know how you want to feel and you've got a reference of that, you can hold that and just by in your energy field, it's this is how I want to feel. And I'd
right,
appreciate your assistance in creating that. You know, it's a permission and a like a ceremony sort of state that you're operating in. It's this is why I want this, and I feel I'm worth it, and I need some assistance if that's cool. And if this is done, then me being in human form in this reality, I can offer Earth a lot of potential, and if you hold those sort of feelings and stuff, they love working with you because that's what they're all here for, and they've been waiting for us, for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But what I sort of suggested, we just had a bit of a break, and I might have broken Sean up, is that um, we're sort of offering a flow with crystals in your local reality and setting up a defense sort of reference space for you to operate. And what I felt is, what I've seen is that a lot of people out there don't actually have this as an aspect of who they are, and it's a way of fortifying who you are, because it can create that space where you can retreat to and recalibrate yourself, and then know thyself in that space. So when you go out into the world, then you know who you are, and when shifts happen, then you can sense the differences and stuff. Especially, say now, like Sean's doing this recording with me, and it will be public, which is putting him on a platform that's a lot larger than just the local reality. It's the infinite potential is there. So if you didn't have your mastery of these sort of things, or at least awareness, then the vulnerabilities can happen. And that's where I'm not judgment of any teachers out there, but you can see the waves that people go through and stuff, and potentially it's because they have this gap in their defense. So we're just offering some tools for people out there to realize the potentials in them. That's basically what we're trying to do here.
Absolutely. And then you can get those crystals in collectives where they form even more collectives and links to other crystals, and you can like put not to like disregard them or put any like negative label onto them, but it's kind of like giving a child a playmate. Like
Yep.
you will like they will link to another crystal, and then they'll be doing lots of spiritual commerce.
Yeah.
And you will do that with them too by being in their vicinity, or even non-locally interacting with them through like light body technology from a distance, or remote viewing technology, whatever. You and I find if you're specially working with a crystal you work with often, you will energetically link with them in spiritual commerce, where they may have mystery schools into themselves. Like if you would experience how elementals exist within space between atoms, in rocks for infinite space, and they have little pocket bubbles of reality for experience, and what they can expand upon through their commerce. Like you'll find yourself having expressions of yourself, like even if it's not like if it's not like another version of you or something, because sometimes I link with crystals that already have versions of me in them,
Yeah.
elemental wise, but like sometimes you'll just have a part of your light body interacting with it in commerce, and it's or dream realms or whatever they're doing, because it's very broad spectrum of what they can do. And if we see them as that, and also start to look upon the mineral, crystal, and even just the world of matter in general in a new light like this, then we can more function with it in a in-depth way that makes our reality more rich. And I'm putting your crystal and the one that I got from the other minor chakra next to each other, and they're doing commerce. So I'm just like looking at that. Your crystal does have a lot of dragon interaction. Just
You love the dragons, mate. I know that. That's another topic. The other thing you dropped before was ancestral armies, and I do work in fire ceremonies, and I issue orders and stuff, and that can be another topic. That was just something dropped a bit earlier, and I'm sure there's a lot of potential out there with people you've interacted with their own ancestral armies, and they're just waiting for delegation. So maybe that's another topic in the future.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
Say with the crystals, and I've sort of offered a linear theme of like you get into a healing state, and then you do healing, and then these potentials reveal themselves, because your local reality reveals layers after you've gained a sort of level of responsibility, say the healing thing, because it was sort of offered that you, in your DNA, might be the contract holder for a lot of unresolved stuff with your ancestors in your DNA lineages and stuff like that. So we've sort of tried to offer a linear sort of expression of the potentials after you overcome certain things. What I'll do now is just switch the topic about the technology in your home, because I remember like just listening to you talk then, it triggered me to remember what Andrew said about putting layers of crystals around your technology, or sticking crystals to say televisions, or putting a couple layers between you and your computer that you
Yeah.
might be working on, and your wireless
Yeah.
routers and stuff. Do you have any suggestions about that stuff?
Sure, yeah. Like it's like you operating with your armies in their anchor points of their main fortress that then they'll expand out from in size and scope as they're able to protect more.
Mm.
And you can scale this and monitor it. And I teach how to do this. So it's not just like blind, you know, seeing without eyes, but and you can give them jobs and like to hey process all the negative energy that comes out of this dirty energy technology that has all these things of mind control and frequency emission and other things that are trying to link to it, and then link it to your crown chakra and then bleed all that dirty energy onto you. It can process that. It can become very strong in learning how to process that, and as well teach your higher self how to maintain that themselves, so they can also enter a state where they can maintain that while being able to heal themselves and not just get overloaded. And then you can make some interesting technology that can be very infinite in scope. For instance, like the Dreamtime Fortress around the bed, which I am tuning into what that version of yourself that is a Dreamtime protector for Australia wants you to do in programming your bed. I'll give us in a way I can try to give it to where it overlays with other people. If
Yeah.
they're wanting to work with the crystals to connect to their higher self so that they can audit, because they do want to audit what's going on with the crystals, so they're not just interacting with a haunted crystal that will steal their energy and make it worse for themselves by putting a agreement in fine print contracts. So you want to, so every time I do this, I say I do it through we'll have an internal dialogue of what I want to do in program, while having an external dialogue of three things: through the filtering, auditing, and managing process by the true, authentic, original source, and that connection in your heart to be the infinite auditor that can see all those lines of drama that want to put something in that you never approved of
Yes.
to do some, yeah, or hijack a connection or an upgrade or whatever the being that you're working with out and what they want to do. So when you do that and you get sacred with it, you can initiate these programs of what you want to do with these crystals safely without doubt that it'll work or if it's been infiltrated or whatever. And then it be if you're still having a problem, it will be narrowed down to there probably being a long list of things to do. Like if you're going to be working with these crystals for multiple nights to heal up a wound, to transmute a whole bunch of dark energy that's a blockage or whatever, it will take many nights, and you'll have to like take them out in the sun and do other things and make it more and more sacred with a ceremonial concept of programming each night, so that nothing's throwing in self-defeating programs that bring your effectiveness down to 1% or some shit. And then what the intention. Okay, the first thing that would be good, you would want your higher self and source to interact with this in like an auditing process to resolve lots of your Dreamtime blockages. We're going to apply this to you and other people that have a lot of Dreamtime blockages. So they're resolving their spinal column, their gut brain, their intestinal tract, the various energetic circuitry for your dreaming body, and it's local overlay of your main your physical body and its non-local functions, such as there's non-local dream bodies, bilocated selves, dream constructs, dream realms that you've interacted with or made, and we're audited. You're like initiating the process to set that up as a queue of to-do lists, and that you're setting your higher self to do them and learn everything that you need to do to complete those through a progression of time that if you become aware of and monitor, you can make go way faster, but still it's good to initiate it. And then where you like, if it's having to do with a blockage, so your main thing is to have more perception, to dream more, to see more, to experience more, to have less attacking you, less marking, less problems overall that will eventually help the planet. Because if you're a planet protector and you get your dream body back, you'll be like, yeah, let's use it to fight some bad guys, and then you get like blocked again. It's like, oh shit. So like you gotta like also plan for that and be able to maintain it and go in little bursts, but also have the protection and have preventative care for those big things. So let's see. The big thing that it wants to do is 1, 2, 1, 3, 4. Okay, your third eye chakra, your heart, your sacral, and your solar plexus. Like you could you want to like ask if it's any other person, you'll want to ask it to be tailored to you. This is like where the majority of the technology that's preventing a higher scale of your dream body activity to come through every night. And then there's Vegas. There's there's a bunch of stuff, but it'll be a list. So I'm gonna sum it up. Okay. So sometimes the through whatever you initiated, such as what we're doing with the dream time realms, where you're trying to unblock it, your higher self and that other version of you I mentioned, and the crystal community you're working with in the chakra, will send you they have sent you it's an initiation into being your own version of your higher spirit chain that like has a bunch of different versions that are already this, but like you're coming into it even more so now for this specific realm that you're getting invited to. That's a highly guarded realm, and you have a thing where they're asking if you want to be a part of the protection for this, because majority of people that enter this have to hold up their weight in it so that it remains protected.
Yeah.
And you also have versions there already that are, it's a highly targeted realm, so they're, even regardless of holding their weight, they're still going to have some things bleeding over. So you're going to be a part of helping that.
Yeah. I think
you can go into visualization
all my life, mate.
Right. Yeah, if you've been doing a lot. So I'll give you later the ability to tune into your dream body perceptions in the waking state, so you can see what you're doing on many layers, and then you can go visit this realm in live while you meditate, and then see what it has to offer that you can do very quickly while having your DNA technology linked to it, because it's not like how I teach, like, how people astral travel. I know that how to do the whole leaving your body thing. I don't do it like that. There's many different ways to interact with your astral body technology. I do it in a way where you're not leaving your body, not leaving your house, open to be like invaded by some other being, but like where you're bilocating your perception and linking your third eye to the perception of your astral body, and bilocating energetically, astrally, or just the astral body, however you describe it. There's many different vocabulary. And then using it to traverse what I am doing and unblock all my sensing equipment through the process of working it out like a baby muscle. And that's what people have to do when they're really blocked. And you can do that. You do that with your dreaming body, your astral body, your etheric body, your different types of elemental bodies, all that stuff. So we can do that, and I will be glad to work with you further on that.
Cool. So yeah, getting back to crystals, I was tuning into it, mate. It was pretty cool. So
what question?
There's one other thing I forgot to ask you, and that's in relation to the crystals and stuff. So you were talking about how they might get affected and stuff by hauntings and energy and stuff like that. So say if you ask it to do some work around, say, your wireless router and things like that, or I actually have crystals under my mattress and around my bed and all sorts of stuff. And what I actually did just 2 days ago, because we're in July here in Adelaide, Australia, and it's the middle of winter, but we had a 19 degrees Celsius day and sun, and that's quite rare for winter. So what I did early in the morning, I put all my crystals out in an area that, and I haven't actually done this, all my crystals in my room and stuff, I put them all out in the sun for the whole day. And to me, I apologize to them because I forgot to actually clear them and give them energy and stuff to recharge in the sun. And there's a lot of solar activity at the moment. So for me, it was actually a really powerful opportunity to give them a break from me and to give them an opportunity to recharge and clear and feel like they're having a bask in the sun, so to speak. So for people to actually have as a part of their expression in their life and their crystal and their foundation around their house is to actually clear them. Do you want to offer ways for people to actually to have that as a component of who they are?
Sure. So the sun thing is very important. It's a very good way to clear crystals because you can see it as the sun having consciousness, and that is a healer itself that's holding space for the solar system, and is healing multiple planets, as well as the DNA as a centripetal force to its centrifugal force of energy that's involved in our evolutionary process and upgrades for our DNA as a antenna for lots of different bandwidths of energy. Crystals have a different type of DNA that's more crystalline, and it's not really DNA, but it has similar functions. So it does have that with the sun constantly and the earth. So if you create those energetic, strong linkages to the earth and the sun simultaneously, it can resolve itself very fast. It can heal itself. The sun's doing psychic surgery on the crystal and resolving a whole bunch of things, getting rid of the densities of darkness and clearing out through its fractal structures of energy. You can also psionically clear them with your own abilities. I do this constantly. I have a thing where I try not to I have a union and communion mutual beneficial co-creation experience with my crystals where I don't vampirically steal shit from them, and I do an equal exchange of energy. So anything they do for me, I empower them directly back, and I don't give them my energy. I have
it's a partnership, not a servant sort of hierarchical thing. It's like they're allies and they're buddies, I know what you mean. That's the way I am as well.
Yeah, I can't give my energy away. I use a type of energy that I have reserves of that's blank. It doesn't have an energy signature of another being to it other than it kind of does, but not I didn't steal it from another being, and I it's like blank, and it's like a, God, it's hard to describe because
Well,
even the blank energy has.
yeah, I describe money as
Yeah.
a storage device for human life force, and
Right.
it's a finite, expression of our life force. And
Right.
my aspect is if I if I have say 108% of my energy, the 100% is for me all the time, but that 8% is what I can delegate in a way that I want, in service. And that's sort of what I do as well, mate. And I think that's what you're saying. You never compromise yourself. But if
Right.
you've got an abundance of budget in your life force, and you can delegate it. And if you do it with all the foundation of who you are and respect and ceremony and stuff, you don't. It's like Andrew talks about the secret neutral perspective, and that's why I can flow and do a lot of volume with his information, because he doesn't have any baggage in what he offers. And that's what you're saying. You're not offering baggage in the energy frequency of that life force.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There's like you're saying it right on the head. So like there's many different aspects and ways you can do commerce with them. I heal my crystals. I will ground them in a way that, like, even if they're not directly on the ground, they can connect to an energy flow that doesn't dump negative energy on the earth, but enters a recycling system that's held by the collective of the spirits doing it. So they learn from that process, but don't have it directly in contact with them, and they learn how to transmute it. Then have um different types of energetic systems based on what we discover about each other, because we're constantly our learning process to make it more us more and more able to function in this reality through all the bombardments of it, because we do all get bogged down and take on big stuff now and again, and then transmuting, go into lighter space, and then learn from that. um Let me see. I'm like forgetting
It's
some
all right.
stuff.
I was just talking about clearing your crystals, and appreciating that's a part of the process. And if stuff is going on in your life, and you're sort of losing track of who you are, and that core of what I said about having a reference and a space that's sacred, and knowing who you are, it's probably that you can actually invest some time in clearing your, like, smudging your crystals and putting them
Yes.
underwater. And I talked about the sun, but I actually take some of mine to the sea, where I go crystal searching and stuff, and I actually put them in the seawater,
Mm.
and even putting them in a salt bath or whatever. There's many things that you can do, but
Right.
if you calibrate yourself and you feel like you're off, then these are sort of ceremony things you can do around yourself. And just by going into that, and putting the intent that you want to get back to who you are, and you want to fortify yourself again, like in that telepathic sort of feeling of asking for an ally and assistance, and this is what you want to create for yourself. It's those are ways that you can pull yourself back and recalibrate yourself, and
Right.
get your soul shards back and things like that. Because when you're feeling off, they're sort of senses that it's time to actually do some work in that respect. Because it's not
Yeah.
work, but you have to put the effort in, you know?
Yes. Absolutely. Because their goal is not to just do everything for you and not make it so that life is just incredibly easy and you don't have to worry about anything. It's so that you learn the process to do everything that they're doing, to where you can hold up the mantle place of all that it takes to function in this reality, and be able to do it yourself, but also expand, because like in the constant state of expansion of yourself, you're going to take on more and more stuff.
Yes.
So especially with what you want to achieve, and how other beings feel about that. So
Yeah. But also, I mentioned it earlier that the frequencies of the local realities are all shifting constantly, and you sort of have to recalibrate yourself to that. And you might go through waves of really expanded awareness, and then you might be smashed in your emotions, and you might be in despair, and doubt, and fear and stuff like that. And that those can be sort of metaphors for the recalibration of the frequencies. And these are just sort of things that you can actually fall back on instead of going out and doing an interview and going on a radio station and complaining and stuff. You could actually
Right.
go back and in that self-nurturing and just by your intent of thinking that your space could benefit from this sort of space and go into a meditative space and just think about that crystal sort of fortification and stuff and then get back out there, you know. It's
Right.
a potential that people can have, and you know, that's why I just wanted to
Yeah.
offer this quick.
Absolutely. And like in that fortification process, you can scale and size that. You can monitor it, how it's growing, getting better. We teach that like how I described to you before, but also like if you can make a grounding system for yourself, you can make it for your objects and your environments. And
Yeah, you can
it
weather
takes a
this.
while for some beings, but like, you know, if you keep at it, you'll get it better and better and better, and you'll feel the changes of it to benefit you so that you're in a way you're not getting bombarded, the crystals aren't getting bombarded, and when the crystal is overflowing with like negative energy, it will be limited down to 1% of its capacity and fortress and all this stuff to where it has to maintain its territory from the invading forces, and it will do that in whatever time is required, whatever assistance it gets to de-haunting itself, such as grounding, connecting to the planet, and you know, sun and all the other ways that the earth is set to naturally clear its surface or
Yes,
undersurface.
yeah. So we're just offering that a bit of vigilance would be very beneficial, and just be aware of this. And there's nothing wrong, and you go through the ebbs and flows, and what you can identify as by a process of elimination that these are the sort of things going on, and then that journey into developing that skill set like a muscle, you just become aware of it, and then by having an awareness of that reference, I say, around your home environment and stuff, you can sort of splice what's going on there, and then when you go out into the world, into to random environments, you have that understanding of that development of that skill set of awareness that you can own, and it becomes obvious of what's going on, no matter if you're not familiar with the surroundings, you know. So yeah, that's sort of what I was wanting to offer there, mate. So really cool.
Thank you. This has been fun.
Yeah, mate. What I sort of offered was in what I've offered, the questions and the information is to sort of offer a linear sort of potential for people. And Sean sort of tuned in and then offered an expanded view and things like that. So hopefully what people get out of this is that there is a process and a path and many variables combined that sort of get you to a space where you can actually operate like this. Because I wouldn't be able to do what I do if I didn't have some of the fundamentals and the basics, what we've sort of said here. And I don't sort of operate with limits, but I sort of honor the local reality that I'm in spite of everything. And so I sort of look to source the frequencies of the local reality and sort of incorporate them in what I do as an expression in human form. And perhaps we'll sort of look to wrap this up because it's been about an hour and a half sort of conversation and it's quite a lot of information and lots there. Is there anything you want to add, Sean?
Let's see. Oh yeah, yeah. So that dream realm is not you being in it, is like a mystery school in itself. It's gonna affect your life, and it's gonna, like, your higher self is learning. You don't need to learn everything, but your higher self does.
Mm.
Eventually, you'll be able to process more things to where you can learn a lot of more stuff all at once. But like that's later. But it's gonna be a part of doing this, and you want to, like, you, because anytime you ask for a request, they will send you a reply of like, oh, here's what we're offering, and like upgrades or initiation stuff. You have to RSVP. So RSVP for this, and then they'll interact with one of your dreaming bodies, and then you may experience it, you may not experience it. Depends if you're doing secret missions or if it's blocked, or if all of varying variables. But either way, you can tune into it, and it will translate knowingness to you. You'll get different abilities manifested. It'll expand your soul experience and age or whatever. And there's a lot more things you can do. There's like a lot of infinites that we could expand into. So I look forward to working with you and producing more videos.
Yeah. You notice I've sort of triggered Sean to go expansive, by the way, talking about crystals. It's very cool, mate. So, yeah, my name's Hodge. I go by the name of Servant of Truth, and to me, operating with truth as a vibration of who I am is the most energy efficient way to exist in the most nourishing way. That's why I use that name, Servant of Truth. And I have a website, Servant of Truth, and a YouTube site. This video's the intent is to upload it relative to Sean, so we'll sort of create a core bunch of themed teachings that overlap with each other, such as I mentioned, the ancestral sort of armies and dreaming bodies and stuff, which we can expand on in a future point. But thanks for this, mate, and I appreciate the opportunity to work with you and get you out there, and hopefully these teachings will be a foundation for people to see the potentials in them and incorporate stuff in their lives, and offer the potential and the platform for them to fulfill their potential that they choose to be here, mate. So thank you.
Yeah, let's unlock that potential. Thank you.